I'm coming from the bedhead Betty, this beautiful morning with bedhead Delilah. We are just trying to get our bearings on what is going on because, hey, River, it's nice to see you, my love. I missed you so much. I haven't had really an opportunity to do or say really anything related to the Sebastian Rogers case. Many of you guys know we had a huge, hey, Rebecca, it's nice to see you, my love. Ashley, good morning. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Harley, the real me too. Liz, Lisa, a little sweet thing. Sorry. Well, hello, little sweet thing. That's cute. Valley Cat, it's nice to see you, Vermont girls. Cinda, is it Cinda? It's nice to see you. Tammy, Peggy, True Crime Addict, Bobby, Don, it's nice to see you. Good morning, my loves. West Virginia Holla Girl, Busy Mama. Busy Mama. That sounds like a lot of my beautiful women up in here. Judy, it's nice to see you. Sadie, good morning, car guy and beautiful wife. Jenny, Nani, Denise, Alicia, it's good morning. Good morning. As you see, she's starting to settle down a little bit, but she's full of energy this morning. She did not go to her kennel. Good morning, Brenda. Hey, Kelly, it's nice to see you, my love. Elizabeth, good morning. Good morning. Yes. I saw a video on TikTok of someone going live, some random dude that sounded like Chris or something. Interesting. That really does sound like, if you find that, send that over to me so I can listen to it. Hey, Gio, it's nice to see you. Rodney, it's nice to see you. Stella, Karen, good morning all. It's nice to see everybody this morning. We haven't had an opportunity to really talk about the Sebastian Rogers case much. Well, for a few things. We haven't been able to, and Mod Squad, hold off on the information that hey, Melly Cat, thank you, drinking one. Take it to go, right? So just hold off. Good morning, old Rusty. My fur baby got me that. How I caught you at 5 a.m. Yeah. Well, she didn't go. I felt so bad. Like, it was traumatizing for her yesterday morning when I got her out of the kennel. She whined for an hour. She wouldn't, like, she held on to me. She kept licking me. She wouldn't let me go yesterday morning. And I realized that the whole kennel thing was a little traumatizing. For the first night, she did good. I caught her while she was half asleep, and I stuck her in there, and she whimpered a little bit, but she was so tired she went right to sleep. Last night, I think I put her in there a little too early, but she just, or not last night, the night before, and she just cried and cried. She did settle down for a little bit of the night, and then she woke up at 3 crying. But when I got her up at 3, she just started wailing when she got into my hands, and she didn't even want to be let down. She just wanted to be held, and she just kept licking me and crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I felt so bad. I figured, you know what, I know she can be in the kennel and she'll be fine in the kennel. You know, she hasn't done any potty in the house, which is really the purpose of the kennel, is to teach them to potty train. And she doesn't need to really be potty trained. She's potty trained. So, I mean, outside of it raining and thundering, she goes outside for everything. She gets my attention. She goes outside. The only time we're been getting a lot of thunder and lightning, and even during the thunder and lightning, she goes right on her puppy pads. She doesn't make unless a little seepage gets on the rug. But I just throw it's a white rug, so I just treat this spot with some vinegar and put some grease lightning on it to take away any of the oils that might be in her urine. And I throw it right into the wash with bleach, you know? So no matter how you look at it, she doesn't really, I mean, outside of a little bit of spillage from the, you know, the puppy pads, if she gets right on the corner or something, she's pretty much potty trained. She goes outside or she's on her puppy pad. So I decided last night I wasn't going to do that because she had such behavioral problems yesterday, and I think it was from the confinement. So, and I feel like she thinks it's a punishment versus being, you know, having to go to sleep. So she slept in bed with me last night, and she's been much better behaved today than she was yesterday. And she's just curled up to me. Do you guys see how tiny she's just a tiny little thing. When I hold her up, you guys get her legs drooping, but her body's just a little tiny thing. She's a tiny thing. Anyways, we haven't had an opportunity. It's nice to see all y'all. Amy, Pixie, the ones that have just come in. 7 True, it's nice to see you, my love. Good morning. Stephanie, I'm just trying to go back to see if I missed anybody. Phil, good morning. Thank you, Melly. Um, so we don't me personally don't really have anything to report, really anything new to report on the Sebastian Rogers case. I think everything that we have related to Sebastian Rogers has kind of been put forth. It's kind of like what we did with Summer Wells, when we did our investigative work on Summer Wells and talked to the neighbors, talked to the friends, talked to law enforcement, talked to the state attorney. I mean, we literally went very thoroughly through the Summer Wells case. I'm going to be heading to, Tennessee in the next few days. I don't know when I'm going to get there. I don't have really any idea. I've got to get the oil changed. I got to situate Delilah with somebody, and then I'll be heading out there. And this particular trip, I've got two objectives, and one is to meet with the local law enforcement. In a diplomatic approach, I really don't want to have to do a gathering of voices. I know that they're under immense stress, but I want some clarification on several things. And, again, they don't have to provide me that. Of course, we don't, anything that I get from law enforcement, I'm grateful to get from law enforcement. Anything that they don't give me, it just isn't, it is what it is. Oh, hey, Merle's mom. It's nice to see you, my love. And I don't know, GE girl, very happy, pale. It's nice to see you, Sam, Allie, Elser. It's nice to see you, Natalie. I think I missed you as well. It's good to see you. Anybody else coming in? Don't forget to hit that like button on your way in. We have 242 people in chat right now. So go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to make a comment after the live ends about what you thought about it. If you got some information that you thought was interesting, clip it or share the video, Sebastian Rogers needs avocation. As you guys know, many people have kind of given up on this case, for a variety of reasons. Most of it is because they were too busy worrying about, upsetting their audience. And I get that, you work really hard to get a large audience and to have your audience mad at you because you're not thinking the way that they think or this, that, and the other. I kind of understand it, but I don't, because it's a little more for me. My audience is here to support the family and the work. And if that's not what they're here to do, then it's like, are they really my audience? You know what I'm saying? Because we're here to do good. We're here to give back. Most people that watch me can't, so we do, right? It's either they're bedridden, they have mobility issues. Hey, VA, it's nice to see you. Kathy, it's nice to see you. So it's like, I don't mind really rocking the boat because, I've been through a lot over the years that I've been on this platform, where people, basically held subscribers over my head. And I have a detachment to the clicks and the views aspect of it because I really don't care. At the end of the day, what are we here for? Am I here for clicks or views, or am I here for avocation of the victim? And that's kind of where, for me, the awakening, the chains, the balls and chains of social media were broken, because at the end of the day, I'm looking for the right crew to have. It's about quantity, or it's about quality, not quantity for me. Many of you guys know I haven't, added any additional moderators to my chat. We've been rolling with the same crew for a number of years. And there's a reason for that. It's because I trust my crew. It's hard to do on these streets. Most of the people that I work with behind the scenes, I personally met, and there's nothing that can give you that personal connection, especially with your moderators or your team or the people that you rely on, than to have that, not only just a connection with them, but a personal connection with them. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we're here. Even though a lot of other people have given up on this case, we have never given up on Sebastian Rogers, just like we've never given up on Summer Wells. The reason why we stopped talking about Summer Wells is because what more information can we provide on the case? The case is one where, again, in Tennessee, it's a no-body case, and Tennessee does not know how or completely unwilling to take a nobody case. Now, they have charged nobody cases, but it's because somebody has, admitted to it. It's never been them having to work for it, them building a circumstantial case, them literally painting the picture of how nobody else could possibly do it. Is it a harder legal process? It is. And just like every other legal process, there's no guarantees to it. But what I really loathe is parents being able to go without consequence for 20 and 30 years. And then it's like, oh, well, now they're 50, 60, 70. And it's like, okay, let's charge them and throw they've already lived their life at that point. They've already lived their life in complete their best life ever before they were like, that to me is so not justice. 30 or 40 years for justice is no justice. Because you can never repay the people, the family, the ones that were close to that victim, and they had to live through that torment for 40 or 50 years. And then it's like the person goes into jail, they're bad health at this point, and the life expectancy is very low. So they basically lived their life. They were able to unalive their child, unalive a kid, or whatever it may be. And because they didn't find a body and they were unwilling to take the harder route, because they have this preconceived notion, double jeopardy, while it is real. A good circumstantial case is winnable. And circumstantial evidence, at the end of the day, is evidence. In the Sebastian Rogers case, what we have here is it sounds like the parents played law enforcement. And not only did they play law enforcement, they brought Mommy Dearest in that helped, wield the power and the pressure, because she was a well-known realtor that has ties to law enforcement. It sounds like one of her children is in law enforcement. So naturally, the blue protects and backs their own and works extra hard for one of their own or one of their own's family. But they were played. They were played like a fiddle. And they, in my opinion, dropped the ball during crucial time. That's why it's so important when we have missing children that the law enforcement adheres to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children Directive. Is it law? No, it's not law. Do they have to follow it? No, they do not have to follow it. But why would they not follow somebody that has dedicated their entire lives and platforms and built a nonprofit organization to provide these directives of best practices to law enforcement so that more children can come home quicker and safer? So why would you not completely, but the major parts in it, why would you avoid doing them? And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the forensics in that home. We've learned that there was no latent prints done in and around the home, around the windows, around the screens, on the front door to determine whether Sebastian's fingerprints were even on the front door. We have no forensics done even though the parents at that time believed that nobody could possibly come into their home in the middle of the night. How do we know that one of the doors were not unlocked and just subsequently locked on their way out? We do not, because let's face it, Katie has never alleged that. Katie alleged that she went to bed after Sebastian. She heard Sebastian's voice allegedly after 10 o'clock, right around 10 o'clock when she heard this thud. She went to bed at midnight. She was asleep by midnight. She just midnight, a very specific time that has been drilled into our heads. So if he left between the time she fell asleep at midnight, obviously she was asleep at midnight, obviously, to 6 a.m., then she physically would not have been able to see her son or how her son exited that home or with whom, if anyone. So it causes a lot of issues in this case when we hear that the Department of Children and Family Services, much like in the Summer Wells case, was recently in the home of the Proudfoots, unbeknownst to Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers. Seth Rogers, he did have conversations with his son. His son did speak of being not really wanting to go back to his mom and stepfathers. We learned that from Seth up front. Seth, he's always blamed himself for not pushing his son to find out a little bit more, but he just probably thought it was teenage stuff and, step parent problems. Any step parent that's in my audience, I'm sure I know because I had a step parent, and I know how I constantly reminded the step parent they're not my real parent, right? So, it could have been, and how disgruntled I was at the puberty age of, bouncing between my moms and my dads, all those things that go with that. I mean, there's no question that in blended families there are disciplinary issues that the child doesn't want to deal with from the step parent. So, I'm sure in the back of Seth's mind, he's probably thinking on the lines of that, right? Like most of us would think if our child came in and said, I don't want to go back to their house. Well, why? I don't like so-and-so, and it's the step parent. I think it's pretty normal, and I think every parent that's in a blended family has to deal with that, and I don't think that that's suspicious in and of itself, although a group of people try to make it a bigger deal than it was because it's the way they spun it, it's the way they drove the narrative, and it made and people started thinking that Seth just didn't care. He just, whatever the case may be, which couldn't have been further from the truth. Let's face it, couldn't have been further from the truth. And at the end of the day, the only parent that has been actively searching from the beginning of this case to just recently has been his father. His father does not want to believe he's deceased in any shape, way, or form. His father believes his son is alive, and his father has stated it multiple times and has privately told me, that he needs his son home, that he just needs his son back. His son is his only child, his only offspring. He's a very family-oriented man. He's very into the nuclear family. He did not believe nor wanted the divorce with Katie. There was hate for Katie and Seth. Katie was obviously messing around on Seth way back then with Christopher Proudfoot, which they ultimately got married after Katie divorced Seth. It is awfully problematic for me that Katie's divorce papers were February 26, 2016. And, we can't dispute that it's pretty odd that exactly at the 8-year milestone of the beginning of these divorce proceedings that Sebastian disappears. And it's exactly 8 years later, which is exactly the number of years that Seth and Katie were married for. I mean, hey, Reno, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. Lee, it's nice to see you as well. She needs a parvo. You're talking about parvo shot. Yes. She doesn't. She only goes out in my yard. I've walked her down the road in the yards, but we don't really go far. We only go down two houses. So her ability to get parvo where we're at right now is pretty difficult. I've raised 3 dogs on this land, 3 puppies, and none of them. But she probably should get a parvo shot, but I'm very, I'll be going to seeing the veterinarian in the next week or 2, but I'm very, very cognizant of not wanting too many chemicals in my dog. I plan on getting a rabies shot. If the vet recommends the parvo shot, I will be getting the parvo shot, and I will be getting her chipped. I mean, but as far as all this other stuff, I'm not like anti-vaccination or anything, but I do want my dog to be as chemically free as possible. It's just the way I believe. So my mom sent cops out to check on me. I had left home 20 years before, just got very quiet for a time. Mom never stopped swearing. No, they don't. And you know what? It's kind of funny you say that, Amy, because it kind of dovetails right into my next thing, is that Katie's behavior as a mother does not bode with normal moms, okay? Now, people say people have a right to grieve or they grieve differently, but the problem is, you're right, they do grieve differently. We have not seen Chris or Katie actually grieve. They're not grieving. As a matter of fact, we see them enjoying life. We see them going out to eat. We see them, having and loving on a, I've never seen her with the bigger smile on her face as she did when she was holding Faith. She's never had a smile like that we've ever captured or has ever been produced to the world that shows her enjoying her own son as much as she enjoyed Faith. Oh my gosh, parvo is bad. I bleached my whole yard. Yeah, I've never, we've had several dogs here and they were puppies. I can't remember the last time I've given any of my puppies a parvo shot here, honestly. Now I don't know what the doctor may have. I have to go. The vet's been with me for 25 years, so I'm going to trust my vet. I trust the vet I go to. But if he recommends, knowing that she doesn't really go out, she doesn't really leave the yard yet, because it's only for puppies. They once they get older, it's harder for them to get parvo. So, and I don't even think it parvo is. I would think it might be maybe in elderly dogs. I don't know, but it's I think parvo is like a parasitic type of thing, but I can't remember. My parvo was parvo pup. It was horrible. Yeah, I've definitely, my friend had a seal tip pit and just the cutest little puppy, and she caught parvo. I remember I was like 15 or 16. That was my own, out of all the dogs that I've been around and seen, that was the only case that I knew of parvo, that a dog actually caught parvo and actually lost their life. But we'll follow the doctor's recommendation. Well, hello, Misty. Yeah, rabies is mandatory. I don't know if it's mandatory here. I think it's mandatory if she goes to dog parks, which, I'm going to make sure that she's well versed with other animals. The one thing I'm very cognizant of is isolation of dogs from other animals. It causes them to be a little meaner and not so accepting of other animals. So I'm definitely one of those people that like my dogs being socialized around people and other animals. I mean, she gets along with the cats, so we're already through one of the biggest hurdles with her. Yeah, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Like I said, I'll the doctor's going to give her whatever she needs to get. So there's no point in even worrying about it. Is it Friday yet? Oh, no, it's only Tuesday. We're not even over the hump yet. Pushing it right along. Does Faith go back to her mother? Um, does does the cat like the dog or just tolerate? No, the cat, as soon as I put the dog out there, the cat walked up to her and basically introduced herself to the dog. And every time I'm out there, she follows us. Like if I'm in the front yard, she'll follow us around. She'll be right at my legs. She'll let Delilah come right up to her. The only time she swatted at Delilah was when Delilah bit her leg, and Delilah deserved it. I mean, she bit her leg. I can tell you, after she got smacked by the cat, she hasn't bit her leg since. So, she's my dog learns very quickly. Yeah, yeah, she's definitely happy. She's definitely healthy. She's definitely a good dog, and I check her poop often to make sure she's not got any parasites or anything. So she's been good. She's been good. While she's my doggy, not my husband's doggy. She's not my first doggy. I've had quite a few of them. It's just, this is going to be like, my husband trained all of our dogs, and our dogs were always so well mannered. I'm just hoping that I have the skills he had. So, but anyways, getting back to Sebastian's case, Sebastian was, let's see what we got here. Okay. I think we might have some information coming in here. Okay, sorry about that. And so getting back to it, the grieving has been an issue. We haven't really seen any grieving from a mom that has been without her son this long. Here we go. Give me just a second. I don't even know if I can. Yeah, give me just. All right, so I did want. Oh, thank you. Who was that? Oh, Julie, it's nice to see you. 17 months. You're one that's always in the bushes every now and again. Good morning. It's nice to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I did want to, before we go too much further in this, hey Southern Chaos, it's nice to see you. Sasha, Diane, Sonia, hopefully I said good morning to you as well, but I'm not sure. What is it I mentioned earlier? Have autistic brother. He's in his 60s, but the behavior patterns are similar. Wow. So before we get too far into this, I did want to let you know, thank you, Phil, God bless you, that believe it or not, this Thursday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, on Seth's channel, he is going to have Joe Petito. He's going to be having Joe Petito on his channel on Thursday. So today's Tuesday. So in 2 days at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, there's going to be a live from Seth's channel. So if you guys have not subbed up to Seth's channel yet, please sub up to it. Again, Joe Petito, this Thursday, it's already been confirmed. So I wanted to make sure that everybody, I know you guys have all been watching this channel for new information, for updated information about this case. While this is not going to, I'm not sure what the angle of this live is. We're going to have to watch. But it's going to be interesting to hear from Joe Petito and, things that's going on in his life. If you guys know, I received my name, Bullhorn Betty, for fighting and advocating for his daughter. While I've never met Joe Petito, he's not the one that reached out to me. It was extended family that reached out to the partner I was working with, as you guys know, and the rest is history. From being out there and the work we did out there, the investigative reports that we did, going literally all over the state of Florida. We even went out to where Gabby lost her life. We did her whole entire trip. We followed her trail all the way to Jackson, Wyoming, all the way to Yellowstone, to the Spread Creek. We did a lot of work on that case, and it was a very sad ending to such a beautiful, aspiring life and an inspiring life, quite frankly. So it's going to be interesting to see and hear what Joe's been up to and what's been going on in his world, and as well as maybe learning some stuff that might be able to help us in the case of Sebastian Rogers. Again, I'm kind of excited to see this interview, and I hope you guys all go over there and sub up to Seth's channel as he brings on Joe Petito, which I'm sure has a wealth of information. The sad part is he's went through a lot of these emotions, a lot of the things that Seth is going through, and it'll be it'll be quite amazing to hear about him. You know, we haven't heard from Joe in quite a while. I think this is going to be a great opportunity. I anticipate there being an overwhelming amount of support in that channel on that video. And so get there early. Don't forget to sub up. Don't forget, as soon as it's set up on their end, get a reminder set. But go over there and sub up to Seth's channel. I think we're going to be very, very enlightened. Very enlightened. So I'm excited and can't wait for the information. So there we go. I completely understand. I do the same. Hey, Unicorn, it's nice to see you. I didn't see your message, though. I just see a response to your message. But you're in the house. It's nice to see you, my love. It's nice to see you. Yeah, Stephanie says, I appreciate all the hard work you guys put into this case. As a person with disabilities and knowing several other people with disabilities, I feel very close to this case. I think I can tell you a lot of mom and dads are watching this case because they feel so close to this case. I did not realize how many people have autism, and we should be asking the questions. You know, it used to be like one. I can't remember. They gave this report from the 80s and 90s. There used to be like one in every, I don't know, 100,000 children that had autism, and now we have an explosion of autism, and nobody's telling us why. They're saying it's something like one in every 300, or I don't want to state statistics. I don't know. It was very large. The number was one in a very large number previously, and then all of a sudden it's one in every very small short number. Why are all these children having all of these defects? And it has to me, I'm just a common sense type of person, right? If we didn't have them before and we have them now, what is the differences? What was the differences of what we were giving our children back then when they didn't have all this autism, and what we're giving our children now, and now all of a sudden they have all this autism? And I have to think that with autism, there's medication that needs to be taken by these autistic children. And I'm pretty sure that medication's not cheap. So I'm sorry, I don't trust our government anymore. And I can literally lay out a roadmap as to the reason why. I don't trust our medical professionals anymore. I am very cognizant. You know, when you find a good doctor, you keep them, because I got to tell you this. My friend Sharon, when she had her child, they were talking, you know, this was about the vaccinations, and her child's about my age. So she's an older lady. You guys got to see her. You met her on that interview on that channel, you know, where he was talking to a Front Row Joe. She was a delegate. And you guys know who I'm talking about. I say, right? There's only one person I got choke over, right? But I love Sharon. Sharon's a great person. And her and I were talking one day at a Trump rally, and she was talking about her son and some of the stuff and how he was having some issues. And her doctor said, well, let's hold off on this. He doesn't need these vaccinations now. Let's wait until, you know, let's wait another year before we give them to him. And they agreed to that. And those are the doctors that when you get, you should keep, right? Because they are really practicing medicine. They're not being told what they need to tell their patients. They are following their education, their gut instinct. And I just think that there's something. I've had an opportunity to talk with parents. And I'll tell you this. And you guys can, I'm not going to try to say this is my opinion, but this is what I was told from several parents, that after the second vaccination that they were required to have, it was almost like the lights went out, like there was a blank stare. From that point on, there was something different about their child. So I'm just going to say, follow your doctor's advice. But you know what? You can question your doctor. You can say, I'm very concerned. This is what I learned through my research. What are we going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen to my child? And I think every parent that's giving birth from this point forward needs to be having those questions. Don't be just injecting your child with a whole bunch of vaccinations that they don't need. And which vaccinations can wait until they're older, right? What is the bare minimum of vaccinations that a baby needs to have to be protected? Those are the questions I think you need to start having your doctor, because in my limited understanding and in my limited research that I've done, most of these cases, one of them was deprivation of oxygen at birth, and the other one seemed to be the other high marker seemed to be the vaccination aspect, is when they started seeing a child start changing. Now, this, I don't have a child. I don't have a child on the spectrum. I can't tell you what your experience is. You're going to have to look at that. But to express that my parents that are dealing with autistic children, you guys need to be vocal with what you believe happened. Because I think in vocalizing it and speaking about it and being in these, expecting, these expecting parents chat, I think that's a wealth of information that can truly help another family, another woman, and another child. I think that sometimes we don't want to talk about, how we feel about it. We don't want to say something. We don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Meanwhile, I feel like the silence might be harming other people. I can't speak for you. Again, I have not had that experience. I'm only borrowing some other people's experience that they've expressed to me. But I definitely would recommend, if that is the case, you guys not be silent about it. You guys not be silent about it. It's too rough. I told you that the people were trying to boot me for bringing up the fact that I feel like the FBI is involved in, and I'm not going to get into this conversation on this particular live, but I'm going to be, tossing the ball in the air, because we are going to be talking about it later today. I was told that it's misinformation to say that the FBI is, or potentially is, involved is intentionally or involved with the assassination attempt on President Trump. We identified a lady in the crowd that does look like the director, and there is a Twitter account. And this Twitter account is, let me find it real quick. There it is. It's called Oversight Project. Oversight Project. And this is on Twitter, and I recommend anybody that's wanting the truth about this to go hit up the Oversight Project. It is an oversight. It is a legit organization that does oversight, and their information is pretty interesting. So I'm going to let Benny, because I love Benny, and he tells it and explains it, and it's no point in recreating the work, so I'm not going to do it. We're just going to listen to what Benny has to say, and then we're done with this.
Questions about the history of Thomas Crooks, because it seems like he has a little more of a complicated past than we thought. The government wants you to think that he's just acting alone, the lone assassin. No political motivation. Well, if that's the case, then somebody's going to have to answer some really tough questions, like why were there people who work right next to the FBI visiting Thomas Crooks's home 12 times over the last year?
12 times. Somebody that's near the FBI, main FBI building, was seen or viewed by phone data. This is geofencing and all this other stuff that they do, data mining. And this wasn't the first time. They visited the home multiple times, over 12 times. Thomas actually went to an area that he was apparently just hanging out, but it was right near the main FBI building. And it appears that somebody that from that building came out and went toward the direction of Thomas. Again, it comes back to this whole misinformation that we have on multiple platforms. Who's the gatekeeper of the misinformation? Because when we break news here, it's not misinformation. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's misinformation. I brought up major concerns from people. They identified this lady in the crowd immediately. Like within the first, I would say in the first hour, they started running with this lady acting very weird and very bizarre at that rally. And then we come days later, somebody matches her up with the assistant director to the FBI. And now we have this oversight project also now stating that there is some type of contact with the FBI and Thomas directly. And we have all these encrypted messaging apps such as Signal and other ones. So I'm not going to take a deep dive into this right now on Sebastian's live, but just to kind of pin up, to put the ball up in the air. We are going to be talking about it because I'm so sick and tired of these search engines, these platforms, social media platforms as well, willfully and intentionally blocking information that the American people have a right to know. These are people we pay. We are the boss, okay? We are the boss, the big boss, okay? Our government isn't the big boss. We, the people, are the big boss. That is the way our country is designed, where the people hire the people to act on their behalf. And when you're hiring people to act on your behalf and they are not acting on your behalf, they are becoming a criminal element. It is time to put a kibosh on it. We've known for a while that the FBI has been associated with the Steele dossier. I did watch Jennifer Coffindaffer. Jennifer Coffindaffer, in my opinion, is going to be biased on this subject matter because she worked for the FBI. She believes in the good men and women, and I do believe that there are good men and women, the worker bees of the FBI, that are wholesome and good, much like Jennifer Coffindaffer. However, the hierarchy is not. They are dirty, rotten scoundrels. They perpetuated the Steele dossier, which we now have learned is a lie. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And the FBI knew that and got subpoenas and warrants based on something that should have never been used, coming straight from the FBI. Now we have this assistant director out in the crowd. Now we're having some connections. This was sloppy as sloppy can get because it was an emergency. We have President Biden, where none of us has seen him. We're hearing news that he might be dead. We've got a Secret Service director that's refusing to step down. We've got a crowd strike that brought the whole world basically to its knees and stopped the whole world. And we have bombing over in Israel, all of which are distractions to the American people. And I hope the American people does not buy into it. Now, I'm done with that soapbox. We'll get on that soapbox in another episode here on this channel later today. Getting back to Sebastian Rogers, again, 15 years old. He went into his home around 6:40 in the evening. The only other time he left his home allegedly was to take the garbage out to the road, which he did, according to his mother. He played in his room until she hollered that it was time for him to go to bed, which he did without problem, according to his mother. His mother was asleep on the couch while talking on the phone with her husband, while studying, all in this sleep state that she was in. So much so that her husband had to wake her up via phone while he was on the phone, sitting on the phone with her for 2 hours while she was sleeping on the couch, and then holler through the phone to wake up and put the dogs away, and then later recanted that and states that the dogs always sleep in the bed with Katie. Katie also further states that she went to bed, that she woke up shortly before midnight, but was in bed by midnight and obviously asleep by midnight. From that point forward, we have nothing, no information, no nothing. And then all of a sudden, boom, she wakes up out of bed at 6 a.m. like she always does. And the first thing she does when she wakes up is not brush her teeth, is not go to the bathroom, is not to put clothes on. It is to go in and directly wake up Sebastian so he can start getting ready for work or school while she's getting ready for work. When she went into that bedroom, he was not there. So, I'm sure panic wasn't immediate, but she has an autistic son that should be in the home. And when he was not in the home, she says she had what is known as a meltdown. She was hysterical. She was not thinking clearly because she could not gather herself to even call 911. She instinctively picked up the phone, according to her, and called her husband within 3 minutes. Her husband basically states in one interview that he asked her to check this place, and then they promptly, I think he even used the word promptly, called 911. Well, we find out that's not the case either. According to another statement made by, actually, I think it was law enforcement. Law enforcement stated on a radio call that the call came in at 6:33 or 6:34. And I keep saying 6:33 or 6:34 because I've heard it both ways. So it's only a minute apart, but in the true fashion of trying to keep everything as factual as possible, whether it's a minute or 30 seconds, we want to make sure that we have the information. I don't know what time he called in. I was not there. I'm literally at the mercy of whoever made the statement. Okay, I don't know when the call was made, but the call was made some 30 minutes after they realized Sebastian was not in the house or around the house, which is a little odd. Katie gets in her car and she tells us in the Chronicles of Olivia interview that she went up and down the roads of her community before making her way to the school to look for Sebastian. However, according to her neighbors, she got in her car, backed out of her driveway, and exited the community. She never once looked around the community for her son. She went directly up to the school. But did she? Because earlier that morning, several witnesses, approximately 6 other people, noticed a vehicle that mimicked Kathy Bowersock's vehicle up at the Worsham's store some 15 minutes before Sebastian was even reported missing. So, did Katie go inside the school to confirm that her son never walked up to school without any clothes on or shoes on? I mean, he was in sweats and a long sleeve shirt on a very cold morning, but left there without shoes or a jacket. So, did she go inside to make sure he's not inside trying to warm up? We don't know. We also learned from Bobby, we had seen through Nick Barris that there were some lights out in front of that house or to the side of the house. And it appeared to be flashlights. And it appeared that the flashlight set went to a parked vehicle. Many of us didn't realize it was a parked vehicle until Miss Bobby acknowledged it was a parked vehicle. And then we could see the clear illumination of a full-size SUV. This is a little problematic because we also learned in that same interview about what had transpired a little earlier that evening. And what we learned transpired earlier that evening is around 9 or 9:30, the lights in Sebastian's room came on and went off and came on and went off and came on and went off up until 11:30 that night. And they went off at 11:30 that night and never came back on again. The cameras also picked up a figure going to the back of the house and either turned on or turned off a back light. And then shortly thereafter, the entire home goes dark, according to the neighbor and according to a witness. Not only was that a little perplexing that the house goes completely dark, many people allege that it's possible that the main breaker was shut completely off. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can only put these theories forth, and you're going to have to make what you make out of it. Hey, Julia J. I'm not sure I trust Bobby. I do, because Bobby doesn't have a dog in the fight. She has it's not like she's out here trying to get on every single station. It seems like that she qualified her questions. Now, the only thing I'm concerned about with Bobby is the telephone, right? You hear one thing and it was mean the other, but it sounds like she made sure she completely understood. It sounds like that the person that she was talking to, she talked to many times, throughout this process to make sure that they had all the information. I do believe her. I do, because the information does bode, and we did find that the mysterious car. I mean, we all knew there had to have been a mysterious car around there. We just couldn't find it, and there it was right in front of our face. So yeah, I get it. You know, you don't know her, but I didn't see deception in her. I didn't see deception in her. So what she was telling us is what she truly believed. Now, what she heard, could it be different? It's possible, but most of the stuff that she heard has been corroborated by a video. The only ones that we haven't corroborated, but we do know are on video, because we've heard law enforcement on that was released saying, yes, we do have video of someone bringing the garbage to the road. So we know that it's somebody brought the garbage to the road. I'm sure it was a hazy blob figure, but I know Katie and Sebastian are different heights and different weights, and they can definitely take a trash can and look at a blob, a figure that's not crystal clear, and determine height and weight because of that. I know it's a calculation that they can use to help determine that. But they do have the ability to determine whether it was Katie or Sebastian that took that garbage can out to the road. Just my opinion. But Bobby also let us know that she went straight to that school. Many people don't believe she went straight to that school. They believe that she met Kathy at either Kathy was waiting at Warsham's to meet her over at the school, or something. But it sounds like 30 minutes later, Chris is calling law enforcement on three-way. I bet you anything, Katie's not speaking. It's all Chris. Chris has been speaking. Chris has been the director of this entire situation with Sebastian. He won't let Katie speak because she keeps screwing up the story. She doesn't have the story because it's not her story. It's Chris's story. And that's why it's so difficult for Katie to keep on track with Chris's story, but it's very easy for Chris to keep track of his own story. Chris was the only person that was so far away from Sebastian. For example, Katie was in the house with Sebastian. Although Seth was at work at the time Sebastian disappeared, he's only like 45 minutes away from Sebastian, yet Chris was the furthest person away from Sebastian, some 3 to 3.5 hours from doorstep to doorstep of where Chris has been staying and working. But yet Chris is the only one that's ultra secretive about where he was. Katie's told us where she was. Seth's told us where he was. But Chris, his has been a puzzle for us to put together. There were rumors set out by the public PIs that Seth was working with that basically, and we relied on that for a really long time, and it was all a lie. Now, I don't know if it was an intentional lie or an unintentional lie, but it was inaccurate to say the least, and it's coming from private investigators that are really public investigators that we were told to rely on, that they're so professional and they know what they're doing and they've got this in the bag and da-da-da-da-da. And they start peddling around that they know for a fact Chris was at work at 5:15 in the morning. Yet I pull up there and find out absolutely he was not at that job at 5:15 in the morning, that it would be quite odd for a tower crane operator to be there that early. And had he been there that early, he would have caught the attention of the ground employees that do have to get there that early. And it was not likely that he would be in the crane at 5:15 in the morning. And from his own boss or one of the other workers, he didn't start his job until 7. So why these public investigators that touted themselves as being in the know, right? Just like this investigative reporter that works with them, right? That passed around all this bunk information about Tony. It's funny how their network of people just seemed to never get nothing right when it came to the Sebastian Rogers case. I don't know, and maybe that's my conspiracy theory, right? Like, how can professional PIs and professional investigative reporters get so much wrong in this case, and little old me goes out there and can figure it all out lickety-split? Just doesn't make sense to me, especially when one of these public PIs actually live in the state of Tennessee. And so does her boyfriend, or whatever, whatever he is. He might have been kicked to the curb by this point, but he's already ruined his reputation. It just doesn't make sense. Why were they so deceptive to the public, and why were they so deceptive to Seth? And then come up here and do the poor and pity me thing. Oh, he's being so mean to me, and I can't understand why Seth is kicking us off the job and firing. But we're never going to let Sebastian go. No, you mean you're never going to let the clicks and views go of Sebastian, because what you were providing the public wasn't true, accurate, or correct. Wonder why that was. Maybe it's because they just had the need to have information nobody else had. Interesting. Well, most of us out here, when we're covering the Sebastian Rogers case, we don't really care about anything other than finding out the truth. Who was where, at what time, and when. That's all we care about. So everything those public PIs put out to the world, we can't take as true. Why? Because they were caught to be deceptive multiple times. They were caught to work with deceptive people that literally put out fake news in an effort to harm somebody's reputation. It seemed like this whole crew of misfits had a chip on their shoulder because they were caught with their pants down. And then they thought if they threw a big enough temper tantrum that people would see. Well, we definitely saw. And it was definitely not well taken. So, will Ellie be giving an update? Well, Allie, the only response I have to that is wish in one hand and poop in the other. Let's see which one fills up faster. I doubt it. They're not going to say anything until they absolutely are required, or the pressure mounts against them so much that they have to break their silence and tell the public something. I'm hoping it doesn't have to get to that point, but either way, we'll do multiple rallies up there at their sheriff's office if need be. But we're going to start out with a gathering of voices and love, and see if we can lovingly encourage law enforcement to do forensics, to allow a third-party organization to come in and to bring Sebastian home safely. You know, we're going to lovingly encourage them to do those things. And we're going to lovingly encourage them to do those things with drinks and ice cream. And so, yes, we're going to be out there. I'm going to be talking to law enforcement as soon as I get into town to coordinate this. And at the end of the day, this is our right to do. It's not, it's the sheriff's office, but it's the people's sheriff's office. They can't tell me I can't be on that property. It's public. It's taxpayer. It's, they get federal funds, local funds. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. We own it. So that's where it's going to be. And I did it because I didn't want any children here on these social media platforms to lose their last few marbles upstairs. We need to have some of these idiots with a few marbles still rolling around in their head. So we didn't want to make them explode or go crazy or be them, so we decided to do it at this. If I didn't want to, I wouldn't, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the criticism. Just don't be messing with my accounts, right? So with that being said, I am going to close out with just this small thought. And first, I'd like to say, don't forget to go over to Seth's channel. He's going to be doing a collaborative efforts with Joe Petito, Thursday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. I don't know what that conversation is going to entail. I'm very eager to learn a little more, learn a little more about Joe, and learn a little more about what he can provide as perspective or anything like that. And then this is the part I'm going to take. I'm just going to leave you guys with. For all the moms and fathers that watch me in my chat, the ones that are in the woods and in the bushes, and especially the critical people of me, that say, oh my God, this doesn't make sense. I can't make you get scruples upstairs, first and foremost. I can't do that. But I can tell you that things don't make sense. And if people can't see that they don't make sense, or they want to try to explain it away, they're doing a disservice to Sebastian. It seems to be that people are spending more time creating drama for this case and trying to point out what everybody else has got wrong instead of just showing what they've got right. You're going to find out in this case, many people that have been advising you are completely inaccurate about their statements and have completely provided a false narrative to their audience about what truly transpired inside that home. And we're never going to find out what truly transpired in that home until we get forensic findings, which this department does not seem to want to do, whether it's funding or whatever. So it's very important that we bring a spotlight to this funding matter as well in the state of Tennessee and demand funding for all of our law enforcement across the state of Tennessee. It's not about just complaining. You know, it's easy to complain. I could sit up here and literally complain about 100 different creators and just literally rake them through the mud. And you guys would probably be here hook, line, and sinker. And I'd probably get thousands and thousands of more views because I drug these creators and stuff like that. I don't need to, because at the end of all of this, you guys are going to find out that they are always wrong, never have factual information. And so therefore their audience is really there just for the bitching, moaning, and groaning. It's easy to bitch, moan, and groan. What it's hard to do is find solutions so you don't have to bitch, moan, and groan. And that's what I do. I never complain. Like law enforcement, this forensics, finding out that they don't have money, finding out that Tennessee is not adequately financing their law enforcement. These are things that I can absolutely help with, right? So it's bringing attention not only to the Sebastian Rogers case, but the lack thereof of proper funding for the very law enforcement body that is investigating this case. And we need more funding in Tennessee for law enforcement, for training, for a lot of things. So yeah, while I can sit here and blame and point and criticize law enforcement, you know, I'm going to criticize law enforcement for the fact that they haven't done forensic findings, but I'm not going to criticize them to the point where I feel like they've done everything wrong. I don't believe they've done everything wrong. They intentionally missed critical information, and I don't know why they did. But either way, at the end of the day, better funding and better trained officers is always a win-win in every single community. And so that is what I'm also going to be fighting for. I'm fighting for every single one of those law enforcement officers and the future ones to come to have better salaries, better training, and better education to do their job at the top, at the best level that they can possibly do, right? That's what we want. We want good law enforcement, and we want to promote the people that are doing the best that they can do at their job. And we want them to be moving up. But one thing we don't want is when we have a major catastrophe or a major issue or a child missing, there not being enough funding to handle that entire investigation from front to back, right? From front to end, from beginning to end, rather. And so that is what I see. I felt like that was the issue in the Summer Wells case. I kind of feel like that's the issue here in the Sebastian Rogers case. And I feel like these law enforcement bodies need more and more money for these things. And I'm so sick of the way our government is designed, where if you don't spend the money one year, you don't get it the next year. It should not be like that. I mean, at the end of the day, law enforcement never knows which year they're going to be hit the hardest with the most number of crimes. They need to be situated where they can handle that, not because they didn't deal with it the year before. That is just asinine. Who does that? Who does that? So I don't like the processes. The processes have been this way for a while, but I don't like them. And I think they're unnecessary. And I think we need to give our law enforcement a decent budget so they can hire and fire whoever they need to hire and fire, and they can do forensics, and then whatever number of houses they need to do forensics in. This withholding forensics, it's a very expensive process. Forensics of a house that size is going to cost them a lot of money. And I would like even venture to say, if they're that strapped, that it is the responsibility of the public to raise those funds to make sure that they can do what they need to do. And if the Bullhorn Betty channel, along with other collaborators, need to help raise money for Sumner County Sheriff's Department so they can go in this house and properly do forensics, I'm happy to do whatever I can, my part, to make sure that these things are done. But right now they're not, and they're not being done. So those are our biggest concerns right now. And that's why we're going to be gathering of our voices in a very loving way, because again, we're not looking for condemnation. We're looking for solutions to move this case forward. And sometimes when you have a law enforcement body that refuses to speak to you, you got to kind of show up in force and let them know, well, are you going to speak to me now? You know, are you going to answer the questions now? Because it's getting to an all-time high of the level of distrust of our country against our law enforcement. And when they duck, bob, and weave and hide like cowards from the public and don't even give the public the common courtesy of telling them to F you in their face, it really does kind of get under the skin of a lot of people. And I did not reach out to me for this. There's other community people out there that live in the community that told me we need to do this. That they want this done in a very loving way. These aren't people from Clarksville or Oklahoma or around the country. These are people that live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, that have reached out to me multiple times begging me for help. And while we do use the bullhorn, I want to make sure that it is the last case scenario for us to use. It's not something that we go in and wheel our way. Now, with that being said, that's not what we're doing here. We're gathering, we're eating cake, we're going to celebrate Sebastian Rogers, we're going to celebrate who he is as a person, we're going to celebrate that he's going to be coming home safe, you know, and despite how I personally feel, those are the things that I would love to see happen. I'm a statistical person, but I can still fight for the good, and that's what we're going to do, lovingly. But our demands are very simple. Forensics. Cold case squad. You know, financing, whatever they need. And bringing Sebastian home safely. So those are our demands, and hopefully you guys come out there. We do not want lock them up signs. We do not want condemnation signs. We want every sign that comes out there to be loving signs. Let's bring Sebastian home safe. We need forensics, you know, fund law enforcement, any of those things. Sebastian Strong, Sebastian's Army, any of those things are going to be acceptable. I can't tell you what you can or cannot bring as signs, nor am I going to kick you off because it's public property. I can't stop you from bringing signs that say lock them up. I just hope you respect the mission of this and refrain from doing so, okay? Because the mission is clear. It is a Sebastian-focused mission. It is not a condemnation mission. There may be a time where we do condemnation, you know, where we still see willful negligence on part of law enforcement. That may take a more stronger approach, a less diplomatic approach. But right now, I don't see where that is the case. I see where they were duped up front and they've been playing catch up, but enough's enough. Forensics need to be done. There's enough probable cause. We're going to be going through law in front of that police station. We may end up doing another one in front of the DA's office, you know, but I have to think the DA is going to do what law enforcement can produce to them. So where we need to start is absolutely 100% law enforcement and not the DA. Law enforcement has the responsibility of investigating the crimes. They're to prepare the case and send it over to the district attorney. If they don't sit there and ask for the warrant from the district attorney, they're not going to get the warrant from the district attorney. So the buck stops with Sumner County Sheriff's Department. And and we are at the right place, doing the right things for the right reasons. So that's going to be on August 26, 2024. It's going to be from 9 to noon. We're going to have cake around noon. So it might be like 9 to 1, you know, because we're going to be out there for 3 hours with our signs, advocating for Sebastian. After that, we're going to have, you know, just, we may do the prayer before we start. We may do the prayer after we start. We may do the prayer at the beginning and the end. And we're definitely going to be praying over our cake, and we're going to be praying over our drinks. And whatever's left over, we're going to take in there to all law enforcement. So if they would like to have some, they're more than welcome. You know, we're not there to do anything but advocate for Sebastian Rogers at the most appropriate place that I can think to advocate for Sebastian Rogers, especially in light of no forensics being done. Just saying. So hopefully the people that would love to come out there and support do, but that's where we're going to go. Don't forget, Thursday, Joe Petito on Seth Rogers' channel. Can't wait to hear that. Got a lot of stuff going on this week here in the Sebastian Rogers case. So sit here. Oh, good morning. Seth is up and at it. It's nice to see you, my friend. I was just about to close out. You caught me right in the nick of time. So I hope everything's going well. Good morning. I let them know that you got Joe Thursday. I haven't slept yet. Aw. Yeah, sleep's a little weird. I can tell you I slept yesterday. I was so freaking tired. It was like after 5 hours of like even my court paperwork, it was like I went back and reread it, and it's like there's a few misspellings in it, but it is what it is. I mean, Scrivener's errors, right? So I was just spent yesterday. I don't know what time I fell asleep, but I know it was early, and I didn't get up until late. So shaking off the stress. Well, Seth, it's so great to see you. I hope you're having a great day. Well, the best day you can have. It's kind of hard for me to say. I don't know. It's kind of weird because you want to hear something ironic. I heard her birthday is May 26th. May 26th. That's like Sebastian's 4-month anniversary is when she was born. But she was, from what I hear, she was born on the 26th. So I even think Delilah has an attachment to the Sebastian case. She's trying to sleep, but I don't want to let her sleep. So say hi to everybody. Hi. My mommy keeps waking me up when I want to sleep. She knows if I sleep all day, I'm bouncing off the walls by the evening when she's trying to chill out. So she keeps waking me up and making me go play when I don't want to go play, because she knows I need to go play and get some of this energy out of me. There's the Gene Simmons. Tongue. Go play. That tongue gets me. I laugh every time she yawns and I see that little thing just roll out of her mouth. I start laughing. She is. She's been a blessing. She's been a blessing. And it's like, it's so funny because like I'm here and I'm talking, and it's like, you know, she starts getting to, you guys don't even notice it, but she starts getting to, I'm just over here and I'm just shoving this right in her mouth, and she starts biting on me and stuff like that. And I'm just carrying on with the conversation as if we don't even have a dog next to me trying to chew my arm alive, you know? It's like, oh, we'll just stick this in your face. She always tries to get my nuggets. But anyways, so I hope you're, at least, Seth, I hope you're having as well a day as you can possibly have today. We're doing some stuff. That's all. Not asking you. I'm just telling you. And I've already let them know that you're going to have Joe Petito on Thursday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So I think we're rocking it and rolling. Yes. We're always giving prayers and love your way. And I wanted to come back here and talk because I haven't been on the horn with talking about Sebastian in a few days because of all the craziness surrounding President Trump. So that kind of took but I didn't want to get so far that we were not advocating for him at all. And I felt like that's where we were going. So anyways, I'm kind of excited about what you guys are going to be talking about on there. So everybody's just really excited. We'll definitely be there with you, Seth. We'll definitely be there with you for this exclusive interview. It's going to be great. I really do believe. And then I should be out there in a few days. So I'll be seeing you soon. Don't know what else to say. I'll be seeing you soon. What's the closest hotel in Hendersonville? You know what? As far as hotels and stuff, I would definitely recommend let's having those conversations offline, because we have a lot of trolls and stuff in here. And so we'll have some conversations offline. Reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, and I'm happy to give you a list of some hotels that I think might be, you know, not necessarily right there, but somewhere in and around there that I think would be more appropriate. Anyways, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for all being here. Don't forget, I'm Bullhorn Betty. If you haven't already, give me a thumbs up on your way in or on your way out. And if you guys are on the replay crew, tell us where you are, where you're from, what the temperature is, all that good stuff, so we can get a good idea of what's going on around this country weather-wise. And if you guys have any information about this case, you're asked to call 1-800-TBI-FINE. That's 1-800-TBI-FINE. But I can tell you, I think Seth would prefer you guys calling your local FBI, honestly. So if it doesn't really matter at this point, but make sure if you do call a lead-in, you promptly let somebody like Seth or Tony, and I'll refer or relay any information related to any tips you called in. If you can't get to either one of them, I'll make sure that they get that information right away, because we don't want anything falling through the cracks. So if you're providing tips to law enforcement, please also, even if they're confidential leads, I have no need to leak all this information. I just forward it over to Tony and Seth if need be, if that's where it needs to go. So we would like to monitor what's being sent into them, just in case there is any kind of balls being dropped or anything like that. But I'll let you guys you guys do your own discretion, whatever your discretion is. Anyways, guys, don't forget to rock it out with your coffee beans out. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe. But more importantly, let's not be the gunk out here causing problems. Let's be kind to thy neighbor and treat thy neighbor with kindness, courtesy, and respect. God bless.